Hello and good evening, and hello to Chris, and hello to Laura, and Pip, and Bernadette. There aren't many of you here today, less than normal. Um, Obviously, people haven't zoomed into the room, but we've now got Tina, and Paulie, and Nicole, and Elaine, Bambi Debonair, and Joe, and Nicola, and Chris, and Kaz, and Heidi, and Catherine. Hello and good evening to you all. Yes, we've been zipping around the French coast today to see accountants. It's been quite a day out, really, but there we go. Anyway, so here we all are, and there's lots to talk about and there's lots to say. Um, I don't know if we'll manage another of our quizzes. It depends if somebody wants to help with a quiz. But you seem to enjoy having your quiz back. So if you want the quiz back, please tell me. And if somebody wants to help organize it and take notes, there we go. As for the mosquitoes, I've closed the doors this evening. My hand has swollen up rather a lot, but one copes with these things. But I have all manners of painkillers and things that I've acquired at a pharmacy, so I will survive the night. I don't think I'm going to be deceased quite yet. There we go. You would like to hear about Saltburn. Harriet Blanca would like to assist again with the quiz. Right, well, I better go and get the quiz book quickly. Here is the lovely Anne Robinson, and the lovely quiz book. So we'll choose a random page and we'll do a quiz on the random page. Hopefully it's not one that we've done before. Hopefully it's not one that will bore you, and hopefully it's one that's still relevant, given that the book was written in, let me have a look. It was first published in 2001. Now, I think I probably need to find some new quiz books. So if any of you have other quiz books in mind, preferably ones involving Anne Robinson, I would say, we need to see if there are any sequels to Anne Robinson's quiz books. So if any of you are eager beavers and wish to go searching for quiz books, particularly involving Anne Robinson, then we can say, you are the weakest link. Goodbye to this book. But this book has proven to be rather entertaining to so many people. I think it'll go down in history as a particularly entertaining book. I think that's a fantastic, wonderful thing. So thank you very much, Annie. And tonight we will choose something. Here is Nav Singh. Hello, greetings to Nav. Lovely to hear from you, Nav. Lovely to hear from my personal friends as much as anyone else. So here we are. There we go. We've got Nav in the room. So I hope Nav will join in the quiz. I hope he manages to answer a few questions. I don't know if he'll quite keep up with current affairs, but let's see whether he does. We've got William Park and all sorts of people. Tina Griffiths. Hello to you all. Anyway, I think we shall have to move on initially to our topics for the evening. So just a moment, let me pull up my relevant pages. Most of what I'll be talking about today comes directly from my notebook. So I won't need much of the articles on the screen. I'm not very organized with computers, as you probably gathered. But there we go. So the first thing we'll talk about today is Savile, Jimmy Savile. Now, I will be talking about this probably on someone else's channel because I've said I would. But today, the Sun newspaper published an article, the Sun's Rod McPhee. Mr. McPhee referenced Savile versus Ripper and suggested the BBC sparks viewer backlash for pitting sex-fiend Jimmy Savile against Yorkshire Ripper in ill-judged ratings war. Now, I found this article myself personally a little strange. I didn't understand the purpose or relevance of the article. Okay, there are two programs about two monsters about to air on two different channels. Steve Coogan will be playing Jimmy Savile. Mark Stobart will be playing on ITV Peter Sutcliffe. Now, in this Sun article, a TV insider, as always, unnamed, never referenced, probably somebody invented by the Sun, I would suggest, remarked, this effectively brings together two of the biggest monsters of the 1970s and 80s, simultaneously on Britain's two biggest channels. This feels ill-judged and insensitive. Victims of both will wonder who at the BBC thought this would be a good idea. ITV1 can hardly be blamed as the Long Shadow, which is the name of their programme about Peter Sutcliffe, Jack the Ripper, the Yorkshire Ripper. Sorry, I do apologise. The Yorkshire Ripper started in the 9 p.m. slot 2 weeks ago. Now, why bring this up? And why invent a comment from a nobody? I find this very strange and stupid. The BBC responded, we are unaware of any plans from ITV. We've long discussed this transmission date with the survivors. Now, that is what matters in all these stories. And that is why I bring up this article. People who have been victims of criminals are always forgotten. We always think of, the murder in the pool at the home of Michael Barrymore. We do not reference, generally, in society, the murder of Stuart Lubbock. This is where they get it so wrong. But this Sun newspaper article tries to say the BBC have somehow colluded and done something wrong. I actually think the BBC have done nothing wrong on this occasion. They are entitled to air their programme whenever they wish. They do not have to liaise with ITV. ITV and the BBC are two separate entities. But equally, I find this whole article just curious. So I think the Sun's Rod McPhee should explain himself. I don't understand why he wrote this article. Savile versus Ripper. And if you want to criticize the BBC for showing a program about Jimmy Savile, why don't you criticize ITV for showing a program about Jack the Ripper? Both are offensive to living members of the Yorkshire Ripper. Both are offensive to people who are still survivors. So I think that this article was particularly stupid, offensive, ridiculous, and frankly should not have been published. So whoever you are, editorial team at the Sun, I think try harder with a better quality analysis of these things. If you want to support the victims, why not support the victims' stories, which is what we all wish to do. We wish to support victims of people. Angela says, please stop referring to Sutcliffe as the Yorkshire Ripper. Well, what do you wish me to refer to him as, Angela? His name was the Yorkshire Ripper in the eyes of the media, and that's what he's commonly referred to, Angela. So, Angela, on this occasion, I have to disagree with you. What do you wish him to be referred to? You want him to be referred to as Sutcliffe? His name was that in the eyes of the media, so I don't particularly understand your particular fury with that, but there we go. Simon Coates wants him to be called the Yorkshire Hammerer. Jane Griffiths says he should be referred to as Peter Sutcliffe. Bernadette says Ripper is okay. I don't know what the problem is with me referring to him as the Yorkshire Ripper, because that is the commonly named name that I've heard him referred to as. I do apologise if it upsets you, Angela. He attacked twice in the town where I live. One of them died, the other survived. But I don't know what name you would like me to use, Angela. So, as far as I was aware, people referred to him as the Yorkshire Ripper. I really don't know. But anyway, that is that. I cannot go any further on that topic because I don't think it's necessary. I think the next topic to talk about is Philip Schofield. Now, today the Sun produced an article and it said Scowlfield. It said downcast Philip Schofield was pictured with his wife and daughter amid rumours that Ben Shepherd will replace him. And this morning, they shared a photograph of Mr. Schofield walking along with his wife, if you want to call her such, Stephanie Lowe, and one of his two daughters, Molly. They referenced that he was flanked by his wife. Flanked. It was a rare public outing, and he was still wearing his wedding band, and they referenced that it was a symbol of his committal to Stephanie. This is a man who ran away with a young runner boy from the show. Very nice. Previously, it told Amol Rajan, we are separated, but we are very much together. I would say these two have fast become the daytime telly equivalent of Fergie and Randy Andy. I do apologise about the snoring in the background.
What?
Just waking up the person who was snoring in the background. There we go. So Randy Andy and Fergie are living in their little mansion, Royal Lodge. I'll come to that later. And they are still together as a couple. Now, Philip Schofield and Stephanie Lowe, his wife, seem to be going around together in a similar fashion. It is rather an odd thing, you know. We've got Needy and Greedy, Randy and Andy, Randy Andy and Greedy Fergie, and now we've got Crybaby Phil and Stephanie, who sucks it all up. You know, these four should go out to dinner together. They'd probably get on well. But meanwhile, I'd like to remind you, I started a petition on ITV about ITV on change.org, about Michael Barrymore being on this morning. It's now at over 1,000 signatures. It's not one of my top petitions that I've ever started, but we would like more of you to sign it. So if you're watching, please go and sign my petition. The title of the petition is Make ITV Scrap This Morning After the Disgraceful Car Crash Interview with Michael Barrymore. So please go on change.org and sign that petition. That would be very much appreciated and welcomed. My other petition against Merrilies van der Meer has now reached nearly 50,000 signatures. My petition against Larissa Switlick is nearly at 22,000 signatures. Please go and sign these petitions, and please share them with a wider audience, because in the past I have had other people stop using these petitions that are bad. But we really must bring down this program this morning. This morning is toxic, it is disgraceful, it is not fit for purpose. It is time for a new era in the world of broadcasting, and I think daytime TV for the British public deserves better than yet more of this. And equally, the person that stood in for Phil, Josie Gibson. Now, Josie, who I never even heard of before all this saga began, because I don't watch This Morning. I have to say, it's a very rare occasion that I would even tune into such a bag of bilge. But Josie Gibson supposedly feels betrayed over Ben Shepherd. This is what OK magazine has to say. An insider told Closer magazine, which is connected with all the same load of rubbish, Josie and Alison, this Alison Hammond, the larger lady who presents on the show, can't help but feel like they've been a little sidelined. Oh, it's so much, isn't it? They get paid all this money, these poor people, to cry and moan that they've been sidelined. Anyway, as it now seems, ITV bosses are hopeful to get a big name star like Ben to replace Phil's slot. So they feel a little used. Well, what did they ever expect, these morons? They're all rather well paid morons, one has to admit. So don't forget that either. And when your violins are playing, don't feel that sorry for them, because I certainly don't. Josie in particular has been feeling a bit betrayed. Poor Josie, as she's been widely praised with helping the show earn back trust. Well, the clips I've seen with her on, especially with Michael Barrymore, shame on her. She is not fit to interview the village idiot. She is not fit to do anything. This woman is a waste of space. She spent time with Michael Barrymore and went, my family used to enjoy watching you when he was a child. Oh, well, who cares what you think, Dozy Josie? Go back to your barn, wherever it is. Go back to your mud hut in wherever it is, in Essex, and stay there. You are a boring, stupid, irrelevant woman who has no respect for the victims of an innocent family the father of which was murdered in Essex and raped and murdered at the home of Michael Barrymore. You are a shameful disgrace, Josie Gibson, and I don't feel any sympathy for the fact that you're not going to get the promotion that you thought you were going to deserve. Well, you might think you're going to win big at some national television awards, and you might think that you're going to make your bleach blonde nonsense go further in life. You are an appalling, dreadful woman who kowtowed to Michael Barrymore, a man who got down on his knees and worshipped Jimmy Savile, a man who dressed up as Hitler. This is reflective on your personality as much as it does on theirs, that you do not have a moral compass and you do not have the sensibility to check out who the people you interview, such as Barrymore, are. Ms. Gibson, I hope your career ends in failure. It deserves to end there. You are not loved, as has been suggested, by people in my circle. You might be loved by people in other circles, and fair enough. They're very entitled to love you as much as they wish. I hope people who enjoy you raise a glass to you, but I don't raise any glass to you. I say you are a shameful disgrace, and you live off the coattails of Philip Schofield, a man accused of goodness knows what, who is still under investigation. But meanwhile, you've been widely praised, supposedly, helping the show earn back trust. You are running a show that is just as bad as Loose Women. If there were a program, as I've always said, called Misogynistic Men, people would cancel it. They would say it was outrageous. These kind of shows that you participate in, Ms. Gibson, are appalling. And they continue. The viewers are having a great rapport with you and Holly, and just being her bubbly, you being her bubbly and genuine self. Well, good for you. But no, I don't celebrate such nonsense. So meanwhile, I shall move along, lest we have some questions. Seeking Rainbows says, watching Matthew makes me feel happy. Well, I'm glad to make someone happy because I make many people sad, it seems, but it's very kind of you to say. Julie says, I detest Loose Women too. Precisely. Kevin Hent says, we should have the I think you mean misogynistic men, a women's show. Leslie doesn't watch any television. Harriet is ready for a quiz. We will be doing this quiz much later, but we have to get through a few topics first. Melissa says, Dominic Cummings is trying to make a comeback. Well, Dominic Cummings will be causing havoc, I believe, for the nation soon. Yes, or so I believe that is correct. Bambi Debonair likes Catherine Tate's Nan. Oh, I like Catherine Tate's Nan very much too. A wonderful character. But sadly not politically correct enough for this generation, just like Keeping Up Appearances, my very favourite show with the wonderful Dame Patricia Routledge. Tina T says, Boy George, he's another wrong un. As many of you know, I'm friends with a person, Boy George, chained to a radiator and beat. And Boy George was subsequently sent to prison. And the person I know, who is Norwegian, is a wonderful, decent gentleman and friends with many of my friends. and he no longer lives in England, but he is a lovely gentleman, and he was treated appallingly by the sick in the head, revolting Boy George. Boy George is somebody I have utterly no time for. And again, the BBC did the wrong thing by allowing the convicted abuser Boy George back onto their channel. You know, do they never learn from their stupid mistakes? So this is yet another example of the BBC getting it wrong. And the person concerned, I'm not going to name them because I think they would rather be anonymous, but you can find their name on the internet to do with the criminal conviction of Boy George. But dreadful behavior, absolutely appalling. That's all I shall have to say on that topic. Trevor says that this person was a male sex worker. Whatever this person was in their past, that is their past. He comes from a Norwegian family and he's a decent gentleman. He is a friend of mine. I'm proud to have him as a friend, as are many of my other friends, including, very famous news presenters and other people. It did not mean that he should be chained to a radiator and beaten by this creepy man. So, Trevor, you are entitled to your opinion and expressing commentary. And your commentary may be semi-true or semi-not true, but things are reported in very strange ways. But the fact of the matter is that Boy George was convicted of a criminal offence. So don't forget that Boy George is a convicted criminal. And what he did to a man who is Norwegian who suffered. So I stand with the Norwegian person. I do not support Boy George. Boy George is a wicked, dreadful, evil piece of toe rag who has shown no remorse. He claims he doesn't remember what he did. He was convicted of it, so he didn't have a successful appeal. He remains convicted of what he did to that particular person. So shame on Boy George. There we are. So moving along, I came across a podcast today, one that I think that many of you will enjoy listening to. It's by a man. It's by the Indo Daily, another Irish publication. I love Irish publications because actually their stories are generally better than British publications. I get wonderful things from the lovely Nicola Tallant, who I've told you about before, but this was called the Indo Daily. It's called Abercrombie and Fitch, the ugly sex scandal rocking the fashion world. It's about 21 minutes long, and it's hosted by a man called Kevin Doyle with his guest from Indo Daily, Enda Brady. He begins, it was the fashion brand every Irish teenager wanted to be seen wearing. Abercrombie and Fitch landed here in 2012 amid a blaze of publicity in Dublin and all the rest of Ireland. They say the outdated outfitter was transformed from an unsophisticated brand being worn by nobodies to the right fraternities. And this is a wonderful podcast for 21 minutes that I think you'd enjoy. It's a little short analysis of the story of the week, which has been the downfall of Abercrombie and Fitch. It was a brand that has now been massively damaged. It's been their week from hell. It has become a disaster for Abercrombie and Fitch. Enda Brady reports basically in the programme on the BBC's 2-year investigation into the 79-year-old CEO, Mike Jeffries of Abercrombie and Fitch, and his 60-year-old British partner, Matthew Smith, and analyses the series, which I can't watch because I'm in France, and because of Brexit, I can't watch British television programmes. So unfortunately, I can't watch the programme, so I can't comment on that, but I can comment on the podcast. He says it was an attractive clothes for attractive fellas kind of brand. After the all-American good-looking guys, all the people don't belong in our clothes, says the CEO. Are we exclusionary? Absolutely. They banned their workers from having dreadlocks. They had an arrogant attitude. In Ireland, says Brady, they were the Hugo Boss of our generation. It was kind of curious, though, he said, that they were trying to sell T-shirts to young fellas, but the young fellas had no T-shirts on. This story centers around something that is so akin to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein that I find it fascinating. And it links to them because the person who funded Abercrombie and Fitch to an extent was a man called Leslie Wexner. Mr. Wexner paid for Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse. He controlled a company called L Brands. L Brands was a major part of, you guessed it, Abercrombie and Fitch. Now, Jeffrey Epstein has gone down in history as a groomer of women. I believe Jeffrey Epstein also targeted men. I think on that island he abused male victims as much as female victims. He has settled hundreds of cases. His estate has settled hundreds of cases. Not all of them, I don't believe, are with women. He did not care, like Jimmy Savile, as to what a victim was. He was so sexually repugnant that he would do appalling things. Now, I don't know whether he went as far as Savile and abused corpses, which is one thing Savile did, or people in hospitals, but Epstein, to me, is so repugnant and vile, as is Maxwell, and she is a repugnant person. But I think Mike Jeffries is the equivalent. And this podcast today was interesting to me because they say, could it spark a male Me Too moment? I think that is a question we should now go forward with, because until now it's all been about female victims. Now, I don't want to go down the route of LGBTQ plus XYZ and the mad woman in Broadstairs who thinks she's a dragon. But honestly, this Abercrombie and Fitch scandal is all about male victims. Men can be victims of abuse as much as women. Now, the BBC and Panorama have produced, as has been evidenced here in this investigation, years of work. This is Dominic Dunn quality work. This is the old-style Vanity Fair, old-style Evening Standard magazine type work where journalists spend months and years on a story. Generally, this is no longer done because all everybody cares about is the Kardashians and what they're doing next tomorrow. And that is how newspapers generally operate. But this was a thorough, proper investigation. And this is why they produced multiple victims. It doesn't mean that every victim is telling the truth, because, as I highlighted the other evening, there are discrepancies with some of them in regard to other stories. Now, that does not mean that I'm right or they're wrong. There we go. So, but equally, I think they did jolly good work, and this is a case that could change the narrative as we go further. But it brings in so many locations, just like Epstein, London, Venice, New York, Paris, Marrakesh. All of these places are involved. These were all places, and the dates, the 1990s till 2015. Jeffrey Epstein was around in that entire period, and so was Leslie Wexner. So look into this. This is a larger story than you could imagine. And the public are already outraged because they now start to think back and think of the racism of the company that banned people with dreadlocks and the people who were Muslim and all the rest of it. Terrible. And, Abercrombie and Fitch have made a statement. They're shocked and appalled. Well, is that good enough? Stage in the game. People can't hear me. My microphone is not muffled. There you go. But I am speaking as loudly and clearly as I can. Well, I don't know. Have I got a fan? I may have some fans, but there we go. Well, there we go. So that is the state of play of the story of Abercrombie and Fitch. It's a brand that is totally damaged, and will it ever redeliver is another matter. So I don't know what comes next for Abercrombie and Fitch. I don't know. Some of you can hear and some of you can't. I don't understand. I don't understand technology, so I do apologize, but I am not able to explain anything of that type. So we will move on to another topic. The next topic is Richard Eden today has asked, have Prince William and Catherine dodged a bullet? By clinging on to Royal Lodge, Prince Andrew may have done them a favour, he says. Now, a £2 million bill to fix the roof, etc., etc. Randy Andy's already spent rather a lot to spend his evenings there with Bernie Eccleston having his pizza nights. The old Pizza Express delivery in, and a party with Bernie, one of his few friends. It's an ugly house. It's full of the dreadful teddy bears that he puts on the beds. And it's also got the bad taste of Fergie and her stupid Fergie and Friends videos. So would you really want to have Royal Lodge, Windsor? The Queen Mother's former home. It's not the most attractive of buildings. It's not the most gracious and beautiful of buildings. It's little overly large and it's not homely. Rather reflects well on the personality of its current occupant, I'd say. Christina says it would need fumigation. Busted says creepy Andrew. There we go. I would not want the Fergay toe-sucking residence for all the tea in China myself, but I just think it's a terribly ugly building. But I've only seen pictures of it from certain angles. Goodness knows what it's like inside, but it does count Bernie Eccleston amongst its regular guests, which is a very low indicator of quality in my particular view. So I would not wish to go there. So Richard Eden seems to think that William and Kate have had a lucky break, not being foisted upon them. And meanwhile, God only knows what's going to happen next to Frogmore Cottage. Now, I love the Twitter account mocking Frogmore Cottage, and the creator of it and I regularly have a dialogue. So if you want a bit of a laugh, look up the Frogmore Cottage Twitter account, and you might find a bit of amusement. As much as we do from the lovely lady Yankee Wally. I'm not sure where she is in the world currently because I haven't heard from her in quite a while. But again, if you can follow her on any kind of platform, I recommend Yankee Wally, a lady who calls out the ghastly Meghan Markle. So please support, if you have time, Yankee Wally, wherever she may be. I can't keep up with the rumblings and ramblings of all these people's social media channels, but she is someone who provides great amusement. So please do pay attention to her. Heidi Crimmins lives down the road from Yankee Wally. Well, Heidi, if you could let us know how Yankee Wally is doing, and if you could please call in and check on her, because we all love to hear from her now and again and often. And Kevin Hentz says Yankee Wally is spectacular. Nicole says, where's Wally? Well, we'd like to know. So anyway, that's that. And my next topic, we're coming up to 45 minutes. We're getting through this at a rate of knots. There has been fury as a 1,000-year-old tree dating back to the Battle of Hastings has been felled. This comes after the Sycamore Gap tree, the destruction of the Crooked House pub, the other pub. Why are we destroying heritage in our nation at this stage in the game? What is wrong with this nation? A week after the Sycamore Gap tree was cut down, locals have been outraged near Ockham Lane Battle. The Daily Mail's Jack Wright says speculation has mounted about how the 1,000-year-old tree was toppled, with some suggesting the tree was deliberately cut down. Others say it could have been knocked over by recent strong winds. So it is possible that this could be just an accident. But this tree is yet another one that's gone. And isn't it sad that a 40-foot yew tree has been perhaps deliberately cut down but it could have just become unstable due to rotting. But there's something more to this story, in my view. Locals said an important local landmark. The tree is on private land, which is slightly different to the Robin Hood tree. But isn't it sad to see something so beautiful and wonderful fall? And we should all mourn the loss of this particular tree, I would say. Some people say focus your mourning on dead people, but I think this tree symbolized very much to very many, and it is worth remembering that we should respect the tree. You know, whether it fell or it was chopped down is another matter, but I think it's very sad that the 1,000-year-old tree has finally fallen. So my commiserations to the people who loved the tree, because clearly it was a wonderful tree. There we go. And now I shall conclude with a little chat about a film by a friend of mine's daughter. It's called Saltburn. It's by Emerald Fennell, the daughter of Theo Fennell, the jeweler. He makes all sorts of jewellery, mostly with skulls and all sorts of things, and he's a bit of a Chelsea character, and he's very well connected and very well liked. And yesterday at the 4th, on the 4th of October, at the 67th London Film Festival, they did the world premiere previously in August, but the first showing in Britain occurred last night at the 67th London Film Festival of Saltburn by Emerald Fennell, who has previously done well with other films. The film will be released on the 17th of November, and it's a psychological thriller, is the genre. Set in the mid-2000s, it stars Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Carey Mulligan. Emerald has known Richard E. Grant since she was 13. And it's based on aristocracy and a sprawling estate. I watched the trailer and I immediately thought, is this a new version of The Talented Mr. Ripley meets Woody Allen's Match Point, that kind of thing? You know, it's high society and low society. It's all of those things that meet. It's not quite in the league of The Remains of the Day, in my opinion, but I'm sure it's very, very watchable, and I look forward to watching it. The Evening Standard today gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And they said of the Oscar-winning screenwriter and director of Promising Young Woman, Emerald Fennell, it takes right what you know and mixes it with it, sets it on fire, and dances in the ashes. It's ridiculously enjoyable. Also starring is Barry Keoghan, nominated for an Oscar for The Banshees of Inisherin, which I thought was a wonderful film. He's the star. And they conclude it's an increasingly ludicrous script, but the pleasure is just being invited to the party. And in life, we should all enjoy being invited to the party, because if we don't go to the party, we never get to the ball. And if we don't go to the ball, we never have fun, because we've got to enjoy everything in life. If you don't enjoy what you're doing in your life, whether it be a little thing, a big matter, or a small matter, you won't enjoy the rest of it. So always enjoy everything that you do in life, whatever it be, whether it's going to dinner with your friends, and I'm being attacked by mosquitoes yet again. I'm not enjoying that. But enjoy it all. Enjoy life to the max. Always celebrate everything that's wonderful and glorious. And if something upsets you, to cut out the cancer. I think it's very important to get rid of the bad things in life. The bad things in life don't help us all at all. So now at 50 minutes, we shall go over to our quiz. So is Harriet Blanca ready to do our quiz or not? The quiz with Anne Robinson. This quiz book has become something rather special in so many people's lives. And I hope that many people more enjoyed these questions. So Harriet Blanca is ready. Harriet, sorry, for the next quiz. So I've got to work out if we've done this quiz before. Choose a random page. Right. We don't want the ones with 10 questions. We want 20 questions. Right. We have done some of these before. We've definitely done that page. Right. We'll try this quiz. And if we have done it before, I do apologize. Question number 1. And I hope Harriet has got a pen at ready. The songs Sweet Dreams Are Made of This and Miracle Love were released by which pop band? Question number 1. It was not Duck Lives. Tina De Silva gets the point with Eurythmics. So thank you, Tina De Silva. You get the first point. Please note that down. Question 2. Korean industrialist Sun Myung Moon founded which religious movement in 1954? I can accept various answers, but not Samsung and not the Moonies. It wasn't Buddhist, and it wasn't the Moonmen's, and it wasn't Hare Krishna. It wasn't Kawasaki. It wasn't hippies. It wasn't LG. It wasn't Jews. None of you are getting this. Oh dear. The first time we've had no immediate. It wasn't called the Unification Church, but you're getting close. It wasn't the Universal Church of Christ. It wasn't shopping, and it wasn't the Mooney movement. Can I repeat the question you ask? The moment is no point. I think we cancel the question, but the answer could have been Unification Church, the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity. So unfortunately, nobody got this, so we discount the question. It doesn't matter because it won't make any difference. Question number 3. Which ancient Greek poet shares his names with a character in the cartoon The Simpsons? And it is not Kevin. The winner is Sweet Sue with Homer. Question 4. In history, shotguns shoguns were the military dictators of which country until 1867? The winner is Pip Field with Japan. Pip Field gets the point. Question 5. In medicine, what term is used to describe an inherited disease characterized by the inability of the blood to clot? It's not genetic. Sweet Sue gets it with hemophilia. Question 6. In television Star Trek, which starship captain is associated with the phrase, "Beam me up, Scotty"? Nicole gets the point. The answer is Kirk. Nicole is the winner. Scottish Nicole. Right. Question 7. Which Impressionist artist famously painted different versions of the facade of Rouen Cathedral in the 1890s? It was not Dali. Simon Coates gets the point with Monet. It certainly was not Rolf Harris. And it wasn't Ted Heath. So you do get rather carried away, some of you, with your punkers' suggestions. But that is the way of the world. The way of the world. Right. The next question, number 8. Which 17th century English poet wrote the epic poem Paradise Lost? It was not Go William, Chaucer, Tennyson, Keats. Simon Coates gets it with Milton. It was John Milton that wrote the poem. There you go. He penned the verse. I should probably correct myself in saying. Question 9. From which country did Brazil declare independence in 1822? The winner is Daniel Wildgoose. Daniel Wildgoose gets it with Portugal. Thank you, Daniel. It's nice to have you back in the room. Question 10. In boxing, who did Muhammad Ali defeat in Zaire in the 1974 fight dubbed the Rumble in the Jungle? Alex gets it correctly with George Foreman. There we go. It was not Joe Frazier, and it wasn't Mike Tyson, and it was not Frank Bruno. Question 11. Which Scottish football team plays at the Ibrox Stadium? It is not Celtic. I can accept Rangers. So the first person who said Rangers was Jake Withy. Jake Withy gets the point. He was the first to say Rangers. Question 12. In television, which flamboyant dame is known for saying hello possums? Obviously, this is now out of date because the dame is now deceased, a lovely friend of mine. But the first person to answer was Bambi Debonair with Edna Everage. Barry Humphries was a lovely gentleman, and I enjoyed his company hugely, so rest in peace, Dame Edna, and also Barry. Barry was a great, lovely gentleman. Question 13. In Greek mythology, which king of Phrygia was granted the gift of converting everything he touched to gold? It was not Edwina Curry. She converted curried eggs to curried eggs, as far as I'm aware. The winner with Midas is Sweet Sue, but I cannot believe you thought it was Edwina Curry. She more likely created curry stains, but there we go. Question 14. In Hans Christian Andersen's tale, the ugly duckling grew into which fine bird? And it certainly was not Cilla Black or Goldfinger. The winner straight away is Anna Perkins with Swan. I don't know what Cilla Black or Goldfinger have to do with that story, but they certainly are not worth it. Question 15. In the animal kingdom, is the octopi a relative of the zebra or zebra, as English people say? I tend to stick with the Americanized version. Or the giraffe? Well, Daniel Wild Goose gets it wrong with zebra. Anna Perkins is the winner with giraffe. Anna Perkins gets the point. Now, where are we up to? Debbie McGee for the evening. Harriet, have we any leaders on the board? Have we a leader or a score? We need to know who's winning. So is Harriet in the room or is Harriet not in the room? Hello, Harriet. Let's be having you. If you are our Debbie McGee for the evening, I hope you've been taking notes because scores on the doors is what is required. Alex says we're all winners here. Well, thank you very much. But it doesn't seem that we are getting a response. Sweet Sue? Sweet Sue? Oh, Sweet Sue is leading according to Harriet. I don't know who Sweet Sue is. There we go. Question 16. In pop music, what group singles include You Really Got Me and Waterloo Sunset? Question 16. Bambi Debonair wins with the Kinks. Question 17. Which now extinct creature looked like an elephant with a thick coat of hair? Pipfield wins with a mammoth. Pipfield wins with mammoth. We could have accepted mastodon. Question 18. One of my favorite kind of questions is, in Cockney rhyming slang, which piece of furniture is a Cain and Abel? No, it's not a mother-in-law, Simon, so it's not Les Dawson. The winner is Daniel Wildgoose with Table. It's definitely not Les Dawson. I don't think a Les Dawson in Cockney rhyming slang, I don't know. Britney Spears, for example, in Cockney rhyming slang in a modern version means beer. Britney, you're having a Britney Spears, you're having a beer. Britney Spears beers. You know, that's how it goes. Modern version. Question 19. Which Mediterranean principality is the home of the Monte Carlo Casino? The winner is Bambi Debonair with Monaco. Kevin Hentz is making more Cockney rhyming slang references. So septic tank means yank, which means American. I don't mean to offend Americans here, but that is the kind of thing that. And the final question: in which decade did Nancy Lady Astor become the first woman to take a seat? I would have corrected that to lady in the House of Commons. We only need the decade. It was not the 30s, it wasn't the 60s, it wasn't the 50s, it wasn't the 30s, it wasn't the 20s, it was not the 2000s. Golly gosh, none of you have quite got it. No, you're all way out. Daniel Wildgoose is in the era, so he gets the point. 1910, he says. It was actually 1919. So, Debbie McGee for the evening. Do we have a winner? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Have we got a first and a second and a third? Drum roll, says Joe. This is being done remotely, and I don't have my assistant in the room, so I don't know quite what the answers of who was successful were. I don't know what to say. We're not getting an answer quite yet. Daniel, Sweet Sue, Bambi, all tied for first place. We need a tiebreaker. Okay, well, we will ask a question. Whoever out of those three people answers first wins. Okay, the question is, the Angel of the North statue towers above which A road near Gateshead? The winning answer is A1, so the answer is of the winner is, in my view, Daniel, but I may stand corrected. I think Daniel has won. Daniel Wildgoose is the winner for the evening, in my humble opinion. So I hope Harriet will agree with me. Harriet, do you agree? He was the first to respond with A1. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you to everyone. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for participating. Banky Wood says thank you and good night all. I shall say thank you and good night all to you also, because it is beyond 11 o'clock here and I like to go to bed a little earlier when I'm in this heat. So I shall say thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you enjoyed the chit-chat. I hope you enjoyed the quiz, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow. So thank you ever so much, and good night and good gardening, and cheers to you all. And as Gildando would say, and I think we have to keep remembering her for the moment, don't have nightmares. Take care. Lots of love to you all. Take care and goodbye. Thank you.